You know, you've probably met someone who seems to have very few friends, maybe even just one or two. And it's so easy for us to jump to conclusions, right? But what if we've been getting their story completely wrong this whole time? Let's get into the real psychology behind people who actually thrive with a smaller social circle.
So that's the big question, isn't it? Why are some people just perfectly fine, even happy, being alone? And I want to be clear here, this isn't about loneliness, not at all. We are talking about a totally different way of experiencing the social world.
Okay, so on one side, you've got the common myth. We see someone like this and think, oh, they must be lonely or damaged, maybe even antisocial. But the psychological reality, it's something else entirely. It's not about being broken. It's about having a brain that is literally wired differently. Think of it less like a software bug and more like a whole different operating system.
So to really wrap our heads around this, we have to start by looking inside. Let's explore the internal traits, the stuff that's going on neurologically that really defines these individuals.
First up, let's talk about solitude. It is so easy to see someone who spends a ton of time alone and just assume they're depressed. But what psychology actually tells us is that for some people, this is a feature, not a bug. It's called enhanced solitude tolerance. For them, being alone isn't about something missing, it's how they recharge their batteries. And here is the fantastic term for it: autonomous recharge capacity. Now, it sounds super technical, but it's really just a way of saying their nervous system literally gains energy from being by themselves. So while a lot of us get our energy from being around people, these individuals recharge by plugging into their own inner world.
All right, next up, decision-making. You ever know someone who just makes up their mind and that's it? They don't poll the room, they don't ask for opinions. It can come off as arrogant, for sure. But the psychology behind it is reduced social proof dependency. They just don't need a group consensus to feel confident in their own choices.
The official term for this is cognitive independence. It's basically a decision-making system that functions perfectly fine without needing a thumbs up from the social group. It is a form of mental self-sufficiency, which is actually pretty powerful when you stop and think about it.
Okay, let's talk social events. It's our go-to label, right? Someone who avoids crowds is either introverted or anxious, but a much more precise way to see it is through the lens of high stimulation sensitivity. For them, a party isn't just a party. It's a massive, overwhelming flood of data, sights, sounds, conversations, all hitting their brain at once. It's just exhausting.
And this quote just nails it. Fewer friendships isn't withdrawal, it's protecting their cognitive bandwidth from overload. See, it's not about pushing people away. It's a really smart, strategic move to preserve their mental energy. So now that we've got a handle on the internal wiring, how does all of that actually play out in their behavior? Let's break down their unique social strategy, because it's really different. Oh man, this one is huge. Small talk. Someone who avoids it often gets labeled as rude or awkward. But the psychology here is so cool. Heightened authenticity thresholds. It's like their brain has this built-in filter, and it just rejects conversations that feel superficial or inauthentic. To them, it's just not worth the energy. And this, right here, this is the absolute core of this whole explainer. They're not antisocial. They're selectively social. That distinction is everything. They aren't rejecting humanity. They're curating their social energy for the interactions that truly matter to them. Okay, so what about being a good friend? You know, we have these scripts. You're supposed to text back right away. You do regular check-ins. If someone doesn't do that, we judge them. But this is where selective reciprocity patterns come into play. For them, a real friendship is about genuine connection, not about checking off a list of social obligation.
This all leads to something called intentional relationship economics. Yeah, it sounds a little cold and clinical, but it's really about subconsciously asking, is there a real, genuine value exchange here? Or am I just going through the motions? It's all about being super intentional with their social investments.
You might notice that as these folks get older, their circle of friends gets smaller and smaller. It's so easy to look at that and think, wow, they must be getting bitter. But the reality is a deliberate, strategic process called extreme relational pruning. Seriously, like a gardener, they're carefully trimming away the connections that no longer add value, so the ones that remain can truly thrive. And this quote just sums it up perfectly. They prioritize psychological efficiency over social tradition. They aren't just blindly following the cultural rules of how friendships are supposed to look. They're constantly running a cost-benefit analysis,
asking, is this relationship working for me on a deep, energetic level? Okay, so we've looked at the wiring on the inside and the strategy on the outside. Now let's zoom out and put it all together. When you connect all these dots, what you see is a really consistent philosophy, a deep, fundamental preference for quality over quantity.
So what we've been looking at isn't just a random list of quirks or personality traits. No. These behaviors are all connected by a single, powerful underlying logic. There's a pattern behind the pattern.
And this is it. This is their entire operating system right here. It's a whole psychological architecture built on these 4 pillars. They choose quality connections over a large quantity. They value raw authenticity over putting on a social performance. They need solitude to recover from overstimulation. And they trust their own autonomy over group consensus.
So look, if you take one thing away from all this, please let it be this really simple but profound shift in perspective. We are not looking at a deficient pathway here. We are looking at a different one. It is not a sign of being broken. It's a sign of a brain that is fundamentally optimized for depth over breadth.
And so I'll just leave you with this question to chew on. Now that you have this new framework, who in your life might be operating on a different cognitive frequency? Maybe it's a friend, a coworker, a family member, or, maybe it's even you. And perhaps, just perhaps, you can see them or yourself a little more clearly now.